everybody, and welcome to Chef Night.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chef Night.
I'm Beth Ryder. We have Chef Jude.
Good evening, everyone.
And
Welcome.
Steve
How
Ryder
you
with
doing?
us.
Good. How are you?
Knees feeling okay?
Knees feeling great.
Perfect.
How's everybody at home? Thanks for joining tonight. We're very excited tonight to get cooking. We've got, one of my favorite dishes is salmon.
You love
Love
salmon.
salmon.
Dish would be your favorite.
The one tonight is going to be a new exploration. So what are we
Perfect.
making?
We are going to be making pan-seared salmon with
Okay.
a chipotle raspberry glaze. We're going to accompany that with some coconut lime rice.
Okay. And if I don't love coconut, is that going to be all right?
You can leave out the coconut.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just not the texture, it's the milk, isn't
The
it?
coconut milk that we're using in there will add a little bit of the flavor without the coconut flakes.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's my
you could
favorite. Let's
go
play.
both ways. You could put some coconut flakes into it and not have as much coconut flavor. This one, we're going to get some of the flavor without the coconut flakes in there. So just to kind of build the lime, we want the lime to stand out a little bit more than the coconut, so that way it'll be a very well blended accompaniment to our salmon.
Perfect.
Wasn't there a song, Put the Lime in the Coconut?
It's put the lime in the coconut. That's
Oh,
right.
in the morning.
That is it.
Funny.
Let's get cooking.
All
Wait, but we
right.
have a cocktail too. What are we making?
We're going to do a pomegranate Moscow Mule. So again, with the pomegranate, blending well with the flavors, that sweet part to counterbalance the spiciness of the chipotle. Yep.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, everyone, get ready. Let's get cooking.
That's right. First and foremost, sure that in order, we want to make sure that our oven is on 400 degrees. Our pan. Then you guys are at home. My 6 pieces of salmon are not going to fit in here, so therefore I'm going to have to transfer to a sheet pan. So our cooking process will be slightly different than what our recipe is, but the result will be the same. So that's the beauty of cooking, is if you don't want to follow the recipe, that's okay, because we like to divert and change things according to what our tastes are, right?
Right.
Um,
Can I ask one question? Because we made a little bit of a faux pas on the order today, or I should say Instacart did. So a lot of our fans over at Trilogy, which we love you guys, we're the benefactors of our little bit of a salmon mix-up. So Instacart gave us smoked salmon,
okay.
and we are not cooking with smoked salmon.
We are not cooking with smoked salmon.
So that's never a substitute. Let's just say.
Well, can we still use the smoked salmon? The answer is yes.
Okay.
So what I would do is, if you received the smoked salmon, let's turn our oven down to, let's say, 250 degrees, because all we're going to be doing is heating the salmon. Once we make our chipotle glaze,
Okay.
we're going to be able to brush the salmon and heat it back up. We're going to get a different flavor profile due to the smoke of
Okay.
the salmon, right? But essentially your dish will be kind of the same.
But for those that got the extra, what we did is we gave them the fillets too, and the other one, because they were so gracious to say they would take our leftovers.
Okay.
What would be great for them to use with the smoked salmon? So you could do what, bagels?
So
Cream
we're
cheese.
going to take what we've already done.
Okay.
We're going to take our sauce here. We're going to let it cool. We're going to mix it with cream cheese.
Okay.
We could put a little boursin cheese in there. We've used that in the class. If you're not familiar with that, what that is an herb cheese. It's found in the little specialty section of the cheeses at your grocery store. It comes in a little square box. It is kind of salty cheese, kind of like a feta type mixture, but it is creamy in flavor profile.
Okay.
And what I would do is mix those together with our glaze and make a chipotle raspberry cheese to then put on a bagel, and then the smoked salmon on that. You could put it on a cracker. You could put it in a tortilla, roll it up, make pinwheel. There's a lot of different things that we could do. You could go crazy and make a tostada with it. I don't know. That's just something that I would come up with.
So anybody who got the extra leftover salmon that we had,
You
you
could
could do a lot of things with it.
Put it in a tortilla and fry it again and make a quesadilla.
Oh, well,
With
these are all good
those
suggestions.
ingredients. I did
Okay.
it just the other day with chicken. I had some chicken left over. I had goat cheese. I had raspberries. Immediately, chipotle, raspberries go together. why would you put this in a tortilla and make it hot? I don't know. You tell me how it tastes. Turns out pretty good. So the ingredients that we have or that mix up, right, we're still going to be able to utilize to create something wonderful. So pretty quick and easy fix.
I
With the
love it.
smoked salmon, that's a cold dish, so little easier process. You can prepare ahead of time and pull it out, have it ready to go when your guests come over. So nice little appetizer for your next party. If
Oh, I love it. Because I mean, it's not something I eat, so we were like, let's pass it along and give everybody some extra.
that works perfect.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so first and foremost, what we want to do is we want to get our glaze going because we want to reduce our sauce so that way we're going to be able to fortify the flavors, right? So first and foremost, we want to get this guy going on high because we're going to be sauteing. And if everybody remembers, saute means high heat, a little bit of fat.
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our oil here, probably about 2 teaspoons, so just shy of a tablespoon. I have some minced red onion. You can see how small this is cut. And the reason being is we don't want to take a bite of onion when we're having the glaze. We want it to add flavor without taking crunchy bite of it, right? And we're going to cook this down till it pretty much is soft anyway. So that's going to be good. So we're going to get our onion going in there. We're going to add some garlic to it. Because remember, we're wanting to make this a savory dish. We're not wanting to keep it too sweet from the raspberries. Yes, the raspberries is going to have a sweet factor, but also the tartness mixed with the heat of the chipotle pepper, which is going to have that well balanced. So we want to have a nice base to keep it savory. So what we're going to want to do is we're just going to want to saute this down for probably 2-3 minutes, enough for that garlic to cook up a bit and for that onion to become translucent. We want to make sure that that garlic is chopped fine enough and cooked enough, because same principle. We don't want to take a bite of it and catch that garlic to the taste bud, right? We want to make sure that it's very well balanced. Okay? So we're going to let that go. And then on our back burner here, we're going to turn that to a medium heat. We're going to want to get our rice going. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add a cup of rice. My wonderful measuring cup, as everybody knows, I don't ever measure. So for our rice, we're going to be adding all of our ingredients. We're going to be adding our rice to there. We're going to be adding our coconut milk. If no one's worked with coconut milk before, you're going to want to shake it up really good, because what happens is there's a fat that solidifies on the top. So once that fat solidifies, once you crack this open to get that out, it's a little more tough. Once you shake it up, you're going to break that up. So therefore, it'll be easier to come out of the can. And it kind of turns it back into that liquid consistency like such. Then we're going to need to add some water. So I'm going to add our water. Using our handy dandy measuring cup of the coconut can.
Hey, use what you have.
Well, and we're rinsing out. So we're getting
Right.
all that coconut milk out of
we have
this
a
can.
question. Daniela, tell us the question.
Chef, can they use avocado oil as a substitute?
Yes, you can use kind of any oil that you want to. For the olive oil, we've used avocado oil for today's purposes. You're gonna need to add a tiny bit more oil here, just because we're starting to caramelize our onions and we don't want to go that far just yet. So all I did was I added a little more. I'm going to reduce my heat slightly, because we're wanting to cook down the onion and that garlic. We don't want that onion or that garlic to be crunchy, right? So by reducing the heat is going to allow it to sweat a little bit, which is going to help cook it without browning it. That's a big piece to it. Coconut water rice. we're gonna be wanting to add some lime juice to that. And we want to get our. No, where's our?
But garlic burning. Garlic burning.
Well, turn it down. I think high is kind of hard to,
He said medium low.
he said high.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's going on with our sound?
Oh,
Onion, he said.
maybe this
Mhm.
was. The rice.
Medium heat on this one.
Can you get out and come back in?
I might have to.
And we're
Hey,
back.
welcome
Whoa.
back, everyone.
Just throw it anywhere. All right, what we've done since we lost you, we had a internet outage. We have raspberries, added that to the onions and garlic. And what are we doing with the lime?
We're adding some zest to our
Zest.
rice.
Okay.
And remember, the zest is we're only getting the outside layer, that color. Is what we're wanting to get here.
I always love the way it smells when you zest.
Oh, it's so fresh.
It's so fresh.
clean. Yeah. And remember, just that outside, once you start getting into the white, that's the pith. You don't want that because it's bitter. We don't want to add that to our sauce. So we're going to need to stir our rice here. Okay, so now that our glaze we had to turn down our heat. We didn't want to burn our garlic. That's one of the main kitchen etiquettes is do not burn the garlic.
Grab
right?
that little black thing out of there. I think it was the stem.
The lime.
Yeah, from the lime. Yeah.
So we added our raspberries. We turned our heat back up to a medium because we're going to want to reduce. We're going to want to create a glaze out of that. So as soon as I zest these limes, like such, we're going to be squeezing the juice into there as well. And then I have some juice squeezed already for that. And this other guy. So now that we've got a boil going, we're going to want to turn our heat down for the rice to a low, like a medium low heat, because we're just going to want it to simmer like that. And then we're going to put a cover on it. So Beth, if you want to put a cover on that
Beth.
for us.
Hmm. Don't laugh at my flower covers, but they're very versatile.
Hey, that's all that matters. So we got a cover on here. We're going to let that rice steep, right?
Yep.
We're going to stir our raspberries up. We're going to need to throw Some lime juice into this guy as well.
I love the use of lime juice in this. It's such a great flavor. I think
Oh,
it's great that we're putting it in the sauce and we're putting it in the rice dish as well.
So the acidity is gonna help the flavors pop. It's gonna help them
Right.
blend together, that freshness, right?
Yeah, I love that.
So that's a big piece to it. And you can see how much water we're already extracting from the frozen raspberries.
Hmm.
So if you were to use fresh raspberries, you can, but you're gonna probably want to add a little bit of water to it.
That's what I was gonna ask
Yep.
you too, because you specifically said use frozen. Was that for
So,
the water?
because the water content, yeah.
And what's really nice about using the frozen is it's easy to store. So when you want to make this dish, you can have it in the freezer.
Super easy. We're gonna get our coriander. Little in here. Little paprika.
That's an interesting combination with paprika in there.
The flavors are gonna blend well. Little
Yeah.
honey, sweeten it up a little bit. Good tablespoon. Okay, so once we're working with these guys, be careful because they're hot. You might not say that they are, but they are spicy, so nothing in the eyeball, that's for sure. If your rice is boiling like that, we want to turn it down. Remember, we want it to just,
Right, because that's a pretty good boil.
yeah, that's would almost be rolling boil. We want it just to be lightly bubbling, simmering like such. Right? That's going, that's going, that's going. We're gonna need to add our chipotle to our sauce. So these guys, they come in the sauce. One of your peppers is like this. You're gonna want to cut it down as many times like a julienne, and then we'll turn it sideways. And we're gonna chop it as many times. We're gonna try to get all of that adobo sauce up in here. We're then gonna want to try to collect some of that adobo sauce as well. So we're just wanting to kind of get, there we go. Just some of that sauce in there. Probably about a teaspoon's worth. As you'll notice, it's got some kick to it, this stuff. It's not like a jalapeno where some are hot and some are not. This,
Right.
a little bit goes a long way.
Yes,
So that's what
absolutely.
we want to really focus on. So let's stir this in. Actually, you're gonna want to add a touch of water to this also, because you see how pasty it is?
Right.
Since we're wanting to turn it into a glaze by adding the water, and all I'm adding is probably like a tablespoon. Let's give it a stir. Let's see. That's still kind of pasty. I just added a little 2 tablespoons, so now it's more sauce-like, right? So as it reduces and fortifies the sugars, it'll allow it to turn it into that glaze type
Mhm.
of consistency that we're looking for.
And it's easy to modify that by just adding in the water, which is really great.
Super easy, right? And so that's at a simmer. That's going to do its thing. We want all those flavors to blend. This rice, we're going to want to stir. Next thing's next. Let's make our cocktail, shall we?
I think so. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to need a shaker.
Okay.
We're going to need
Got
some vodka.
All right.
We're going to need our pomegranate juice. Palm Wonderful, in case you haven't heard. It's wonderful. We're going to need some Moscow Mule glasses if you got them. If you don't, these will work just fine. So in our shaker, we're going to be putting some ice. Ice in our cup.
How's everybody doing out there? Do you guys have your, everything cooking on your stove, getting ready to put the salmon on?
We got any
Has anybody-
questions?
Any questions, or has anyone else tried this drink yet?
Do we need to slow down?
Or should we slow down? What do you guys think? Let's see, we can see you guys now on this one, on our screen, so we'd love for you guys.
All the
to,
chats, yeah, throw your
throw
chats
your
in there,
chats
throw
in
your
there, we
questions
can
in
answer
there.
them, and we also got some new mics. Are you guys hearing us better? Do you think that we sound better?
Is it clearer?
More, yes, is it clear?
Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna wanna shake this guy also, get all the sediment off the bottom. So this guy is gonna be 3 ounces.
We have a question.
Not a question, but I put a poll in the chat. What fish do you guys prefer, salmon or tilapia? Salmon takes the win.
Oh, wow.
Okay, good
That's
call.
tonight, yep, tonight.
A lot of people like tilapias because it's very, very mild. I don't recommend it because it's a dirty fish. Means the way that it's produced is not very healthy for us to eat. There's been a lot of studies lately that have come out have shown how bad that it is. And even some of the salmon raising nowadays is not what we would like it to be.
Interesting. Is it the way that what they're eating?
It's how they're putting too many fish in not a big enough
Oh, pond of
pond
water.
for them. Yes. So that's where the problem comes. So we've added our vodka. We're going to need to add some lime juice.
Bottle out of the way. I'd love to see what you guys like to mix up at home. So we'd love to see in the chat box what your mixologist at home loves.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You'd give that a stir there, Beth.
I will.
Can smell that chipotle pepper
yes.
seeping out of there.
Such an interesting combination of flavors with the raspberry, and the
goes
chipotle.
so well together.
Yeah, I can't
Unbelievable.
wait.
And then while we're at it, we might as well give our rice a good stir as well. There we
Oh, yeah,
go.
definitely making progress.
Yep. So see, nice and light. You want to make sure that that temperature is on low. Even this guy, we're going to want to turn him down. So that's at a low simmer, okay?
Perfect.
Not a boil. So we have our ingredients in here. Some of these fancy pomegranate Oreos. Little lime garnish there.
Who else has tried the drink? Tell us what you guys think. We're excited to give it a try.
And there's your pomegranate
Cheers to
Moscow
all of
Mule.
you. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
Got it. Oh, okay, that's delicious.
What do you think of that, Beth?
I like it.
Very
You know me, I
refreshing.
like it,
and
not
crisp.
as much alcohol flavor.
Big time, right?
Yes, this
That's-
is pretty, like, great on a summer day and when it's warm out. Love it. This is a
It's
great
getting
choice.
closer to summer and I don't appreciate that.
You know, it's way too early for
Yeah.
90.
Absolutely.
All right, cheers, y'all. We're excited. All right, we're
All right.
doing the salmon next?
Yep, now we're gonna get our salmon.
Ooh, it's really good.
So we're gonna get rolling. We're gonna get our pan on, nice and hot, so high heat. So today's tip of the day is gonna be how to sear, proper sear. Proper sears, make sure that this pan is hot. We focus on that. We use the cast iron a lot in our classes, so that way we can get that real rich sear, right?
Mhm.
In order to sear, like saute, sear is quick and fast cooking. Saute is cooking for a longer period of time with high heat, little bit of fat. Sear, little bit of fat, high heat, and all it is just to seal the protein. What we're doing is we're just sealing in the juices of the protein, right? So in this case, we got our salmon set out, little salt, pepper, and it says season both sides. I do season both sides. I just do one, drop it, and then season the other side instead of, if you were to season both sides now, you would lose quite a bit of the seasoning onto the plate. So
Okay.
that's why I leave it alone. And as I was rummaging through the cupboards, I came across some Black Magic. If you guys have not tried any of the Spiceology blends, please check them out. This stuff is amazing. All this stuff is amazing. We're going to add a little bit of this to our salmon because if you smell
Oh, I know.
this
So good.
and you smell that sauce going,
They really blend.
very, very well together, right? So this is kind of like a blackening spice, like a Cajun. So it's going to have your oregano, thyme, cayenne, paprika. So not too crazy on it because we don't want to overload it, but we do want to season it well enough.
I'm excited to try the salmon because we bought it from Costco and probably a little less expensive than if you were purchasing it at a grocery store, but it was all frozen individual pieces.
Which
So
is nice.
it's handy.
Yeah, for the peat that you want to do, okay? If you thaw in your cryovac packs, you want to make sure that you pull the salmon out of that cryovac pack if you're going to be leaving in a refrigerator for more than 24 hours. Okay, the reason being is if there's a teeny tiny pinhole in that cryovac pack, you're going to potentially grow bacteria. So you don't want to keep it thawed in the cryovac pack. And you
Perfect.
don't know until it's too
It's a
late,
problem.
right? Exactly. So again, today, high heat, a little bit of fat. We're wanting to get that sear. And that's the reason why I said only 2 at a time, so we can really focus on
Mhm.
getting that sear that we're looking for.
I love that tip too about not keeping it in the pack because I probably would have thought it wrong. So thank you for that.
It's a good one,
Mhm.
and it's one that people don't know about because they don't tell you that. So again, here we have that nice sear.
Wow, that looks really good.
Mhm. So we'll go again. We're going to give our pan just a second to heat back up. Since we have it on such a high heat, it'll heat back up very quickly. I'm going to be adding a smidgen of oil because we did lose some. And you can see as that smoke starting to rise, that means that that pan is hot enough for us to get the sear that we're looking for. So Beth, if you want to hit those sides there with our salt and pepper blend, we
You
can do
bet.
that. Yeah, we have a question?
So backtracking a bit, chef, why do some recipes call for frozen raspberries instead of regular raspberries?
Well, all raspberries are regular. Why frozen over fresh? The reason is the water content. So we were looking to capture the water content from our frozen raspberries to create a glaze for our salmon. If you were using fresh raspberries, which is fine, you would just need to add some water or I wouldn't go too far with adding anything else besides the water, so you can continue to capture that raspberry chipotle flavor. All right, our rice is ready to be cut off. You are cut off, rice.
You want me to turn?
Cut off. Nice sear factor going on there. So as you can see here, that's what we're looking for in a sear. We're just creating that cooking only on that little tiny outside edge to seal in the juices. So now I cut our rice off. We're going to want to let it set and rest. Covered, trap in the moisture. So as you can see, since our pan was nice and hot, we've only cooked a tiny edge of the salmon on both sides. And that's what we're wanting. Every time we sear meat, it's only on the outside edge. With the pan being super hot, allows us to capture that. If your pan's not hot enough or you overcrowd your pan, you're going to create moisture in there, which isn't going to allow it to sear the way that we're looking to sear. Okay. These guys. So in our recipe, once all of our salmon was filleted or seared, it was going to be put back into here and then baked into the oven and then pulled out and then the glaze put into there and simmered in the glaze for a few more minutes after it comes out of the oven. Since all of our salmon won't fit in there, what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a sheet pan. We're going to spoon some of our glaze.
So really, you guys could do it either way.
Correct. So we're going to want to put this in now, and then we'll be able to use some more later. The reason we're wanting to use it now is so it'll bake onto that fish, so that way it creates that coating of a glaze that we're looking for. And then this is going to go into the oven. Probably about 6 minutes for those guys.
Perfect.
Give our rice a stir. And then we're ready for a market update. We're ready for a commercial.
I'm not sure where Steve is. He should be joining us for this.
I'm gonna add a little water to our.
Danielle's gonna get Steve. How are you guys doing out there? How is your dish looking? Any questions that we can share in the chat box? Any questions? One thing that I
And a
wanted to
little
really talk so much right now, Steve decided. I'm going to talk about what are the dangers of overpricing.
Well, you know how it is.
So-
Everybody says, well, let's just try and start a little higher. But the numbers, when you look at a balanced market, what an appraiser is required to do is look at the trend.
They are.
Are the trends going up or trends going down? The trend is going down for pricing.
Mhm.
So if you are the best looking house with the best price, you're going to actually get the best value for your home. If you start high, what happens?
You're trailing the market. You're going to be
Chasing it.
chasing it. You're going to be coming down too late after everybody else has already dropped. We're coming to catch them. They're going first. And then who's going to get sold first? The one who dropped first. The one who's down the lowest, because that's enticing. And here's the sad part, in this market, you're still gonna get an offer for less. And that's what the challenge is. We wanna sell today, price it fairly, even below actives, so that we can sell and get out of the market now versus waiting and keep going down, keep going down, keep going down, and then giving more. So if we stop, do that, get the right pricing early, we're gonna save ourselves tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, and I used to give this analogy. If you have a $20 bill, I have a $50 bill, and I say to you, hey, would you trade me my 50? Everybody says yes.
You bet.
But in real estate, it's thousands of dollars, not just $20 or $30, it's $30,000.
Exactly.
A builder, if they buy the interest rate down from 7% to 4.5%, that's going to cost them 8 percentage points times a $500,000 loan. That's
40,000.
That's a lot of money. 40,000. They'll pay your closing costs. That's another 15,000. That's 55,000. So would you sacrifice on your old home and sell it for just a scooch less to get a bunch more? And you're getting brand new versus old, no maintenance versus a lot of maintenance. So the cost to hold the property can be very, very high. So always listen to realtors that have been in the market. I've personally been in it for 45 years. You've been in it for 25. We've seen the ups and downs. And what we are now is we're just trending down to more inventory on the market.
Exactly.
And so buyers have more choices and they're going to ask for more incentives.
And they know that you're gonna cave, so they're really asking for a lot. And that's the hard conversation, is what they're asking for is actually uncomfortable. And you have to give up the uncomfortable if you want to sell today. That's
But
what I'm
Beth is
saying.
a master at negotiation. So I can truly say you're in awesome hands when you're dealing with Beth and the Rider Elite team. So listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
Thank you for that. And let's get back to our.
Let's get cooking.
Let's get back to it.
All right, everyone. How we doing out there? We doing good? Let's take a peek at our salmon. I can hear it sizzling away. Not yet, not yet, almost. But you can see here how
And
it's
even on the
starting
sides, yeah.
to glaze, right? So what we're starting to look for is that white to
Yeah.
pop out. That's the fat. Once that fat starts to pop out of that salmon, done. Finito. Pull it out. You cook it any longer, it'll be dried up and dead. Then you're gonna have to add more sauce, and that's not very good. So I added a little bit of water to our glaze just because I want to reduce it a little bit more. It was getting pretty pasty. So all I did was thinned it out some so that way we can fortify the flavor a little bit more for when we go for plating. Our rice looks good. Looks good. Buff the rice.
So we were down, we didn't have the right exact rice for our recipe, so we used a jasmine rice.
Jasmine rice is nice to use.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna cook a lot faster than your traditional long grain.
Okay.
Yeah, basmati rice.
Basmati, that's
Yep.
what everybody else got. We just tried what I had in the pantry.
Yeah, so the jasmine's nice. It's a little lighter of a grain, but not as heavy when you go to eat it, right?
Okay.
So what I've done is I've chopped up some fresh cilantro. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna add it now. The reason we want to add it now is because we want to keep that fresh cilantro flavor. If we were to cook it in there, then you'll lose a lot of that fresh flavor, right?
So you're throwing it in when the rice is,
When it's just
Ready.
about ready to go, yeah? Making sure that we have a good mixture. Snag a spoon real quick. Want to give us a taste
Oh,
there?
you
and
go,
let
you
us
go
know?
ahead.
You're
You're
the,
good.
you're the
No, no.
taste tester. You're
Okay,
the one that'll
okay.
tell us.
It's hot. Boy, I can really taste the chipotle,
Mm-hmm.
probably even more so than the
The raspberry.
raspberries
So you
completely.
gotta be careful because it will overpower, right?
Yeah,
Does
it's
it
definitely
Need
more.
a little sweetness?
I think we need sweetness.
Okay.
I'm thinking, you tell me too. That chili just takes over.
Yeah, from the beginning, and then the raspberry kicks in.
Yep.
So we're gonna add a little more honey. You can add sugar if you want. The reason we're gonna add honey is to have a better balance of the sweet to the other flavors,
Right.
right? As opposed to just dumping sugar in there.
I love that sweet
So now you
chipotle
can,
combo.
well, and now that raspberry's hanging on to
It
the
does.
palate,
It kind of
right?
comes off at the end.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, interesting.
And then that smoky residual from the chipotle, right? So now, when we're gonna blend it with this rice, that creamy coconut flavor, and then that salmon flavor too, so all of them blending
Right.
together as you take a bite. When we build dishes, it's what we're looking for: texture, color, the flavor profile. How are they gonna blend together, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's nice to see how it comes together at the end. Take a look. These guys are probably done, if I had to guess.
Probably the thickest part.
So you can see the recipe, what we would have done is then pull them out, put our sauce in there and let it simmer and kind of glaze inside of there. If you have the vessel big enough to do so. So like you could have taken, if you're having, 5 pieces of salmon this big, 6, even the 4 is kind of tight in that pan. 4 would have fit, but the 5th one definitely wasn't
Right,
going
yeah.
to. Just a baking, like a Pyrex dish.
Oh, that's a good
So
idea.
we could have put some coating on there, put in there, pulled it out, dump the rest of the glaze in, and then let it finish back into that glaze. And that's just to kind of help mask that glaze flavor into the salmon.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's looking good. You guys share some pictures. I see some people in the chat box. Are there any questions? How's your salmon coming out? Your rice? We're plating it
Plate
up.
up time.
All right.
Perfect. One of my favorites.
This actually went really quick tonight.
It's a fast dish.
It's a very fast
Yes.
dish, and yet we made our rice from scratch. We didn't use a box. I mean, you look at all that and it's just as fast. Just making it from
really
scratch.
is, right?
Yeah.
So whether it was 90 seconds in the oven or the same amount of time it took the
This
fish
is
to
quick.
cook. Yep.
Absolutely.
And we wanted to get this guy going first because that's going to take the longest to
Mhm.
get to where we need to go. So
Okay, we just did our second poll between what do you crave more of, sweets or spicy?
Okay,
And
which way did we land?
Sweets takes the
the
lead.
cake,
Oh,
sure. Most people are wanting that. If my stems were a little bit